using the humblest and simplest of tools, combining textures and colors, fabrics and fiber. We tell the stories of our lives one stitch at a time. Welcome to Antique Needleworkers. Well, hello and welcome to Antique Needleworkers. My name is Shellie and this is my channel about cross stitch and all my crafty endeavors, and I'm so glad you've joined me here today. If this is your first time here, I welcome you. I hope that while you're here, you will find some inspiration in your making, and if you are a return subscriber, I thank you for coming time and time again. Well, welcome my friends. I'm so glad to be here. It's been a few weeks since we have had a regular Flosstube. I thank you so much for all of the feedback and all of the thanks that you all have sent my way from the My Favorite Things video, the last video. I am so glad that you enjoyed that, and it was my pleasure to put it together. You know, we all need to stick together, and you know, I'm just a girl helping a friend out. So I was glad to put that together for you, and I'm so thrilled to hear that so many of you have gone and got some of those things, and they have really been helpful in your making. Scattered amongst all the things, there were, that I'm going to show you today, there are things that are going to spark conversation from questions that were sent to me, and I'll address those as we go through here today, because there were some questions, there were some comments and things like that where you were, there were a few people that had questions or wanted to know a few deeper questions from me, and I'm going to answer those today as long as we are going along, is what I was trying to say. And so I have the floor and the table. If you could see below this camera, oh my Lanta. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're going to be here for a while. These little fingers outside, I have model stitched my fingers off, which I'm not going to show you. But I have tons of stuff because I just been a busy little bee, and so I have a lot to show you and talk to you about. And yeah, so today we are going to have a maker's moment. I am going to show you mountains of whips of all kind. I will start with my cross stitch whips. But I do have something in all kind of genres in front of me for you. I have whips. I have two fully finished items. I have sweet happy mail. And then I have, yeah, I mean, I got a floor load of whips over here. I've got all kind of stuff that I've acquisitions. Just all kind of things. So we're going to spend some time together, and I wish you were here. I have ice water. I really wish it was another cup of coffee, but I just, you know, I've already had 3 today. So, but grab yourself something to drink and buckle up, get comfortable, get your stitching, and let's visit, because I'm excited to be here with you today. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is have our maker's moment. We haven't had one in a while, so why don't we start there? Okay, today the maker's moment is inspired by some things that I have heard other stitchers say, or makers, and also I was faced with some of this in person with my mother. And so just a little backstory, and I'm going to make it very brief, and I'll talk some more about it at a different time in the video, but it's going to help me walk into our maker's moment today. I want to, if I was to name this maker's moment, I would say, name it, be bold, be brave, go and do. That's what I would call it. Today's maker's moment, quite a few people often say to me, oh my gosh, Shellie, you do so many different things. And I could never do that. Or I've tried that. I just, I gave it a try. It didn't work out. I'm just not good at things. And then my mother, she loves to go to Beth's, my model stitcher, the Kentucky Needler. Hi, Beth, my sweetheart. She is my right hand, and she is part of the Antique Needleworkers family here. And Beth is just irreplaceable to me, but she's my friend. And my mother, as you know, last year, she lost her partner of 30 some odd years. And then she had a health crisis in the late summer, and she had to come live at my house for a while. And then she was in a nursing home and recovered and all the above. And by the way, while I'm there, thank you, because I had some people recently ask about Mom. So let me just tell you, she is at home in her own house. She's driving her car, and she's back to normal. So praise God. She just celebrated in July her 80th birthday. So anyway, thrilled to death. Thank you so much for asking. She appreciates your prayers and you asking about her. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I take Mom to Beth's with me. We have to drive to Warsaw, Kentucky, to Beth's house down by the Kentucky Motor Speedway. She's actually moved closer to me. I was driving all the way to Louisville to go to her when I would see her. But when I go down to drop off or pick up model stitching from her, I take Mom with me, and Beth just loves on my mom. And my mom's never been a crafter. I grew up on a farm, and my mother, it was a horsewoman. That was my mom's joy and passion. She owned and trained thoroughbreds, and she also, she worked at River Downs for 46, 48 years, something like that. But anyway, and River Downs is now Belterra Park, which is a thoroughbred racetrack here down on the Ohio River, right by us. And so that's what my mother did. My mother, I was not raised in the home with a crafter, and so anyhow, Mom's hands need to get busy, and I've been trying to encourage her, etc., etc. If you all saw recently on Instagram and Facebook, I cut up all of the fabric. I'm so thrilled. My mom's going to be a quilter. So she's learning to Manx quilt, and she's very excited about that. She loves quilts, and so it'll be fun for her to keep her hands busy, and I am her teacher. Isn't that awesome? But when we were at Beth's house, Beth and I were having this 1-over-1 discussion, because she says to me, oh geez, I always say to Wayne, oh, dag burn it, there's that 1-over-1. Because when I'm reproducing something, I reproduce it exactly how it is. And so she lovingly always does the 1-over-1, but she's not a super fan. And so I actually was telling an old dog some tricks and I was describing some things, which I need to do a come learn with me and share those tricks with you, which I had planned to, by the way, in a few videos back, and I got off topic. But I am going to do a come learn with me discussion about 1-over-1. So we were talking about that, and my mother looked at me and Beth, and she said, how long did both of you stitch before you could do that? And we both looked at each other, and then we looked back at Mom, and we were like, oh no, that's kind of normal. That's you don't have to be stitching very long to stitch 1-over-1. And then I saw it, I could read it right across her face, that it went over her head, and maybe it didn't make her feel like it was something that she could do. And there's where we're going to start the maker's moment. There are so many people, just like my mom, who maybe have not done certain things, and they just think it's way above their pay grade. And it's really, really, really not. And there are reasons why some people feel that way. And I immediately began to address right there. I started to walk it back as we were conversing, Because a lot of times people are inhibited in trying things or starting something new or upping their skill level because they are inhibited by insecurities and sometimes what they perceive to be rejections. And what I mean by that is right there, I could see, I read my mom's face the very minute that Beth and I looked at each other, then we looked at her and we were like, oh no, that's elementary. And then I was like, Mom, oh wait just a second. And I walked it back because here's the things. These perceptions of rejection, because you seem as though you know something, or I like what comes off very simple to me, it looks very difficult to somebody else. And I wanted to temper my conversation and bring that back down because right there, I could, when I was in full-time ministry for years and years and years, I was a lead counselor. So that just gives you some information. I can read people's faces. I mean, I can see just what they're thinking. And so I used that skill because I saw my mom's face and I was like, oh, wait a minute. She feels insecure right there. That feels like a rejection to her. So I stopped myself and I backed it up and I said, well, wait just a minute, Mom. Once somebody shows you how to do it, it's not a difficult thing because I do want to see my mom stitch and she'd like to try. She wants to do one of my small designs. I have two, see this case right here? Two of these drawers right here, this one and the one down below to the other corner, they're filled with gorgeous Adas. And I'm going to find some Ada in there for her and something beautiful. I mean, just gorgeous. Maybe some needle bling, it's something just really pretty. And I'm going to set her up to stitch and teach her how, because I want to see her get her hands busy because, when people don't keep their hands busy, a lot of times when people are alone and a lot of times when people retire and they sit on the lazy boy and they watch The Price is Right and they have nothing to do but that, it's funny, their life wastes away and they pass away. And I don't want to see that. My mom's been very active woman and she's actually stronger than me. It's shocking the strength of her arms. But I don't want to see her just dwindle away because she's no longer at the track. Her partner of 30 some odd years is gone, and she had that health dilemma. And so I'm just trying to come arm in arm and drag her in. I want to take her to a guild meeting. She loves going to Beth's. She loves to look at her stitching all over the walls and she loves to hear us talk about it. So I know it will be fun. But so do you see that one little thing? If I had not been conscientious of my conversation, that could have bred a seed of insecurity felt by kind of like rejection or less than-ness. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Don't mistake people. Try not to be super sensitive if somebody is insensitive like that. I was insensitive. I didn't mean to be, and that's the case. So sometimes insecurities and perceptions of rejection are what hold people back. And you know what? You're filled with so many things. And if you're curious about something, if you're curious about a skill, if you're curious about a different tool, if you're curious about something, there's something within you that wants to try that. And pardon me, I'm dry. Hold on just one second. Sorry about that. I have allergies and I'm dry. But so I want to encourage you today. Have you ever felt insecure about trying something new? I showed some of my weaving on my little box loom that I was starting this week. And you can't imagine the messages I got. Shellie, oh my gosh, you know how to do something else. And I can't even barely do this, that, or the other. And I wish that I could do those things. And right there, I want to just, if you say, I wish, I want you to stop. And I want to reach out my Shellie friend hand to you. Hi, friend. And I want to take your hand and I want to say, don't wish anymore. Go do it. Don't be insecure. Don't be kerfluffled by maybe it doesn't look so great. I've got a great example of that I'm going to show you in just a little bit. Doesn't diminish my drive to do the thing, but I just move on past that. And sometimes I feel like people get in a rut where they feel insecure, or they feel like, oh, well, somebody's so much better than me, and did you hear what they said? You know, they just made light of me, and I just can't do this, I can't do that. Let's not do that. Let's make. If you have a wish or a desire, then you've got something in you that's a little flame. Let's fan that flame and get it going. Let me encourage you. Come back to this video if you ever feel discouraged again. And just hear me say this. If you have a wish or a want to try something new in your making, I want you to do it. And if you need me to encourage you, send me an email. I'll email you back and tell you, keep it going, sister. Do it, do it, do it, do it. I want you to try things. Hey, if you ever wanted to try a different type of linen or a higher count of Veda, why don't you try that? Why don't you listen? Sometimes it's just the tools. Get a stronger pair of readers. Get a different kind of hoop. Get a stand. Do something. But if there's a tip or a trip I can help you with to make something easier, that's why I made the video. Like I said in the last video, good equipment makes for great work. And that's the truth. And so if I can help you with that, I'd like to be an encouragement to you. But I don't want you, we get to go around one time. Reach out and do all the things. Be encouraged. Don't be discouraged. You know, yes, I do a ton of different acumens. And you know why? Because I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I just gallop on and try it. And I can't tell you how many terrible things that I've produced before I produced something that was pretty. But I know this, practice makes perfect. And so continue to practice, and don't let those voices in your head of rejection or insecurity win. Take your foot and stomp on those things and just keep on trying. And I want to encourage you, try it. If you've ever wanted to try silk, try silk. Wow, you'll love it. If you've ever wanted to use a stand and get your hands free, try a stand. If you don't know how, ask questions. You can send, I know that I am not the only floss tuber who would be glad to either answer it live or help you by an email. And so be encouraged. Don't sit in the corner. Step out and try those things. And don't let those voices win here. Use those little digits and make beautiful things. Be encouraged. I want you to do that. And so that's my maker's moment for today. Don't let this inhibit this. Move on. And also the other thing is do you see that little comment I made? I read my mom's face that it might have been a discouragement, but thank goodness I caught it. And I was actually able to clarify what I was saying. And I didn't mean for her to feel rejected or to feel like I was making light of what she was asking. So the other thing is I will give an assignment to you. Don't mistake people's comments as something negative towards you either. They could just be, oh no, it's just really simple, you know? And so I just want you to be encouraged. I want to build you up as a maker, and I want you to make. And so that's my maker's moment for today. Be encouraged. Try something new. Okay. All right. So that was our maker's moment. I wanted to do a little encouragement. I do want to answer a few questions. Okay. While I'm sitting here, I have one of my Harwick hoops, and I had showed my Harwick hoops. This one happens to be wrapped. The question was, Shellie, you had stated that these are marked and you put the inner ring in to match so the number makes the full number. But if I wrap my inner hoop, how do I know that I've got the hoop in right? Well, I've got a really quick, easy answer for you. Get yourself a Sharpie and put a dot. It's as simple as that. See, that's the easy answer. And no question is, the person who asked me this said, I got to ask you this stupid question. Well, there are no stupid or silly questions. There are only good questions that get answered. And so simply just wrap it and make sure that you know that that's where the number part is, and just put a Sharpie mark on it. And sometimes these aren't very forthcoming, so you could also put a dot on your hoop as well. Okay, so that is the answer to the hoop question. Okay. Oh, there's so many things here on the table. Where am I going to go next? How about some happy mail? Okay, I got 2 packages from my sweet friend Lisa Duffin, Lady Hussah Presents, and she sent me this sweet card. And inside of it, what she sent me was this piece of fabric. She happened to be at the Mary Cox class years ago, where, you know, I've showed in past videos the piece that I'm doing to do the sewing box. That was a Mary Cox class. It was in Antique Samplers magazine, and I happened to have the magazine, and so I started doing that, and that's when Timbo's shop actually, Jude contacted me and made my box for me. Well, there is fabric for when you line the box, and this is extra of the original fabric from the original class. And so Lisa made sure that I had enough to do the inside of my box, because that way it's totally Mary official. So she sent me that and a sweet card. Thank you, Lisa. And then next week is my birthday. I'm gonna be 57, can you believe it? I feel 15, okay? Right here, I'm 15 right here. Age is just a number. Okay, so she sent me a gift for my birthday. First off, she sent me a beautiful card, and it has a butterfly. Love that. And then I think I've told you this before, but I collect antique postcards. I get a lot of inspiration for my designs from them as well. But she sent me an antique postcard, birthday wish, and I love it. It is written on, and it's beautiful. The old script, I know you can't see it very well, but it says, compliments of Emmett. So Emmett must have been given his sweetheart a little birthday. But anyway, she sent me a birthday gift. If you don't watch Lady Hussah Presents, please go like and subscribe. My friend Lisa Duffin's channel. And on there, you will see she is just like Carrie. She's gone cracker crazy. And she had been at a farmer's market, and she had bought a wooden box that was handmade, and she has shown it on the socials, and she's shown it on YouTube, and it's her cracker keeper. And I said, oh, Lisa, if you go back to the farmer's market, can you see if the little old guy has another one of those? I have one cracker in the making, but I have all the crackers that you can get so far. But I really do aspire to do some crackers. And so I have Lily halfway done. But so anyway, I've been collecting parts and bits of watching other people's finishes to do other ones. But I really loved the carrier that Lisa had, and so she did. This is the last one. The little old man, I guess he whittles spoons too, and he says these are just too hard, so this will be the last one that I make. And his name is Greg Hansen, and he's from Virginia, and it says 25 on it, and I got the last of the boxes that he'll be making, and Lisa got it for me for my birthday. So thank you, Lisa, my friend. What a kind gift, and I can't wait. This is an encouragement for me to get some crackers in my box. So she did a great finish. She put a little teacup and a little silver tea bag with one of hers, and oh my gosh, I got right on and found the little silver teacup and a silver teapot and the little silver tea bag charm, and I'm gonna decorate one of mine up just like Lisa's. It's so cool. And of course, do my friend Carrie, Tiger Lily Designs. Hi, friend. You go take her finishing lessons. They're incredible. Okay, so that was one bit of happy mail, and then I got some major happy mail. I have a sweet viewer named Angelina in Texas. Hello, Angelina. How are you, my friend? Angelina loved that I showed that I was able to use scroll rods now, which is going fantastic. I can't even believe it. I love it. So anyway, I showed all those scroll rods, and she said, I want to make sure that your stuff stays clean on them. Funny enough, my friend, Holly from Hobbies of Holly. Hi, Holly Neal. How are you, friend? She's also a model stitcher for me. Love her. But anyway, she said, how are you going to keep those clean? And I opened up my closet in my office, and I showed how I had them all stacked up. And so, but Angelina contacted me and said, I want to make sure that your scroll rods stay clean. Her daughter is a professional ballerina, and she carries her stitching. And so she made her some bags. And so she made me 3 bags, and they're amazing. And I know before, I'm just going to tease you because I've already talked to her today. I'm going to tease you, but I'm not going to give you any information today. But she actually has an Etsy shop for other kind of bags because it's her side gig, and she's putting kids through college and things like that. But she's only made these bags for me, and she's made them for her daughter. And under a little encouragement, maybe you'll be able to get some someday soon. To be continued, and you know this girl will make sure you know where to go. But I want you to look at this. She made me scroll rod bags. Is that pretty? In my favorite color, blue. And they are so nice. Now, these are what I think she's calling her dusters. I don't know that that's what she's going to call them, but they're just a dust cover. There's no batting. It's just fabric. And this is the tiniest start, and it's not part of my whips today. This is the 20-inch handy clamp by Frank A. Edmonds, and it fits perfectly in this bag. And she had contacted me, and I have a whole bunch of this size, and because I had showed you those sets, this is the biggest size, and so I may have bought several full sets. Just saying. And so anyway, she made me this bag, and it had a loop on it, and I was able to put my bag tags right on there. If you want to know where to get these, I'll put a link for you, because I know somebody's gonna ask me a question. But so anyway, she made this one for me, and it is beautiful. And I'm gonna tell you what, I can't help but think of my grandma Honey, because she had sheets that look like this, and this bag is so pretty and makes me reminisce about my grandma. I just love it. So Angelina, you hit it out of the park. But she also knew that I have now become a fond lover of the 11 by 17 Q-snap. So she created this size bag, and it's another dust cover, and you'll understand why I'm calling it that. I don't know that that's going to be her name, but isn't it beautiful? Beautiful fabric, zipper, got the loop so you could put your bag tag, and then your 11 by 17 fits in here. See? Isn't that nice? And so, hey, look, Becky, I'm still not done. Becky Parker. Sheila Shay's not done. And it's not part of my whips either. It's just what was in this bag. And so your 11 by 17 fits very nicely into this bag. And so I told her, I think that if she makes bags, she needs to have like sizes that are just so that she doesn't have to take orders, because she'll be worked to death. But anyway, sizes that are familiar to different bag size. Okay, so those. Now this is a carrying case. So if I was going to go to, look at this. Aren't these beautiful? So well made. This has got batting in it, and it's able to hold the 20-inch scroll rod in it just fine. See? And you can put all your stuff in there. So well made. And I'm thrilled about this, because this kind of bag, I've actually I have her making me more. I have her making me 12 more bags. and I've got the dust cover kind, but I had my biggest scroll rod. I'm having her make one that will hold the longest scroll rod, but will hold the girth of my Millennium frame. That way I can have 2 carry bags that I can carry outside of the house, and they're just really nice. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you so much, Angelina. You are just precious to have sent such a kind gift my way. Now, when I talk her into selling these things, I'll hook you up. Okay, so that was some fabulous, fabulous happy mail. Okay, so now let's talk about my whips, because I have a whole lot of whips, and I do want to get to the point where I want to tell you all about the day with Barbara Hutson when she came to the Guild. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. I just love her. I'm going to start with my fully finished objects. Yes. And I'm reminding myself because I just saw the bag and I can't remember if I said it, but my birthday's next week, and so I'm going to have a birthday sal. No, my birthday sal from 2 years ago isn't done. I told Carrie I was not going to have a birthday sal. She was so excited when I picked something out. But why not have just more whips, right? So anyway, I'm going to announce that after I show you all of my whips, my cross-stitch whips. Okay, so I have 2 separate books here, and these were bought for me by my son. He went to Keepsakes, and he did the Susan, and kitted up tons of stuff for me. The first one comes from When the Leaves Fall by Blackbird Designs. And I'm hoping that, okay, I'm going to show you the picture of it. This is the picture of it. And the name of this, hold on just a second, is Tiny Pumpkin. Okay, this is a better picture. Let's show you this. And this, it was stitched on toweling, and notice the pins and stuff, because I finished my finishes exactly like this, to the T. Okay, so this is Tiny Pumpkin, and this is my finish. And I dug through my vintage stash and found black glass head pins that were identical to it. The thread conversion is a Susan Surprise Me conversion from Keepsakes, and I will tell you that. Let me locate it really quick, because it's not the called for, and it's in this bag. I have so much stuff right here. Okay, here we go. At least I think. I'm hoping. Okay. Where is that note? Well, here's all the threads. I think I have enough threads to do the whole entire book. You know what? I can't find that. Let me see if it's, oh, here it is. It's in the pages, because I'm going to do other things. Okay, because there are 4 things that she kitted up in here. It calls for Weeks Dye Works Cinnamon Twist, and she changed it to Gentle Arts Ginger Snap. Called for Weeks Dye Works Cocoa. She changed it to Classic Colorworks Cocoa Bean. The called for Dirt Road was used. Weeks Dye Works Oscar was changed to Weeks Dye Works Lily Pad. And then the called for Swamp Water and Tobacco Road. So those are the colors that were used. And I think it turned out just precious. Isn't it adorable? And the toweling was a piece of cake to stitch on. I used 1 thread over 1 toweling thread. And so, yeah, isn't that pretty? It's very festive. Okay. And then I have a second book, and I just want you to look at this, because it's stuffed full too, because my son, he's just so good to me. He will go and say, yeah, just kit it all up. There is fabric. This fabric goes over here in this book. There are fabrics and threads for almost all the things in the Ooh La La book. Okay, now let me get to the page where my finish is from. Okay, here it is. It's the Budding Twig Pin Roll. Budding Twigs Pin Roll by Blackbird Designs. I want to show you the other picture because I finished it the same way that they finished it. I have the old underwear buttons, and of course I said, you know, I dug through my antique pins. This was the 100% called for threads, and I used the called for fabric, which was I think this is 36 count, or is it 32? Is this the right one? Yeah, this is Oaken. This is Oaken by Picture This Plus. They did theirs on 32 count, mine's on 36 count, and here is my finish. I finished it exactly the way they did, the called for, and isn't that pretty? And then this is Blackbird fabric that I used for my tip and my top. And I just think they're adorable. They're gonna look so great in my office. The light's changing, I apologize. If it gets a little weird, I'll pause and adjust it. Okay, so that was from Ooh La La, the Budding Twigs Pin Keep. Let me show it to you one more time. All the called for. The only thing was this mine's just slightly smaller because it is 36 count. And I'm dropping fabric that's in where, I'll tell you, you want to see what else I'm going to do in here? Let me show you. That way, well, wait a minute, I had it. Okay, I just dropped it out of the book and I've lost the place. Okay, let me show you back here. I want to do this. My friend Christine Byrne, Mountain Craft Studio, she finished this, and I want to do that too. And then I want to do, oh, here, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And then this is Spring Green Pin Cushion. I want to do that as well. But then there's a little drum up front. It's this, oh, it's so cute, and it's just done all in red. And I've put Dirty Teacup in here. I have all the fabrics that are for the other pieces are called for, but I am going to do it different for the little red drum. Here it is. It's this itty bitty drum. And I want to do that. Yeah, I start looking at this book and I'm like, how many hands can I go and buy at Walmart? Because I want to stitch it all and I want it to be done today. Okay, so those are my two finishes for right there. Let me pack this all back up in the bag because this is a whole lot of mess. Thank goodness for this huge bag from Fat Quarter Shop because, I mean, look at all this mess up. I've got mountains of thread and fabric in here because I just want to do everything in all the books. And so, anyway, those are my two finishes right there. I thought they were adorable. Okay, so that's that. And all right, let's get into this pile of so many projects. Okay, the next thing is from Tanya from the Scarlet House, and this is Samplers. And I am stitching this on 36 count Confederate gray. That's what my tag says. I know they call it gray now. Look, it is what it is. That's what the name was. Okay, and I'm using all the called for threads right here. And this is not ironed. I apologize. And this is where I'm at. I was working on this at the Guild because I thought that checkerboard border would be very easy to work on. I mean, my needle and thread are still in it. I mean, I'm real here. You're getting it just how it is. But so I worked around and got a little bit of alphabet. And like I said, 36 count, 1 thread over 2 linen threads. Scarlet House Samplers. Pretty, huh? Needs to go in my office, right? Okay, that's one whip. Okay, the very next whip, I need to write a note to myself to drop a picture place a photo. I already did, thank you. Because I can't show you this pattern. I've talked about it already once, but my local needlework shop at my Florida house is the Crafty Framer. Hello, Peggy, how are you? And her and her husband, Rick, they create these trees that have words in them. I'm going to drop the photo right here. And these word trees are amazing. And Rick did 2 trees for me, one that says Antique and one that says Needleworkers, because Antique Needleworkers is too big to do on one tree. And so I got started, and my fabric is 40 count Eleanor from Tropical Stitches. And I'm stitching it 1 thread over 2 linen threads, and I've got I've got workers done. Can you see that? Do you see where it says workers? It makes the tree. And so I've got to do the center section and get the other side, but needle will go right here, and then the base of the tree will go there. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do 3 trees. I'm doing Needleworkers in the center, and both sides of the tree will say Needleworkers, okay? It's congruent, flipped the other way, on the other side, that, okay? And then my 2 other trees, which are smaller, that say, it's just 1 tree. It says Antique on either side of its tree branches, but I'm going to do 1 on either side of it. So I'll have a tiny little forest. It's going to say Antique Needleworkers from both directions. Does that make sense? So I got started on my Antique Needleworkers tree. You can go to the Crafty Framer's website, and there's a listing there, and you can have your very own tree done with whatever name or word that you want on it. I just think they're the neatest things ever. You can, wouldn't it be neat to, Rick put some angels on mine, and so I think I am going to put some angels between my trees, because at the top of my tree, right to the side of it, he put an angel. So I think I might put angels between the 3 trees. But anyway, you can go and how about your last name's Thompson? You can have a Thompson tree done, and it can sit in your entryway. You don't have to put the star on top. You could just make the tree, and it would be really neat in your entryway, wouldn't it? Or something like that. So anyway, I got going on my Antique Needleworkers tree. Thank you, Peggy and Rick, for creating my tree for me. Okay, and then the next thing I worked on was my birthday sow from 2 years ago, my double nickel birthday sow. And it is Stacy Nash Be Kind Sampler. I think Carrie's done. I'm not, and it was my birthday sow, but that's okay. I mean, that doesn't disqualify, okay? So anyway, I'm doing mine on 35 count Weeks Dye Works Cocoa, using all the called for colors, and this is where I'm at. I'll tell you what I did. I put in all that grass and all that fencing. So I had like a row of grass up here by the bricks at the base of the house. And so I'm chugging along. All of that solid fill-in, yeah, got that out of the way, because, you know, you got to really make sure you count right to get your pickets on your fence in and all of that. And so I'll be moving on. So I've got the main big chunk in the middle, and now that gorgeous floral border. Oh, Stacy is so pretty. So Stacy Nash, Be Kind Sampler, 35 count Cocoa, Weeks Dye Works linen, all the called for colors, 1 thread over 2 linen threads. Okay, I worked on that. I mean, I worked on tons of stuff, not just stitching. This is just the stitching. Okay, I worked on my Jane Parsons by the Wishing Thorn. And this is being stitched on linen from Burgett. And I remember where it is again. It is 28 count clay cashel linen. And I'm using all the called for Soie d'Auberson wools. That's why you have to stitch it on 28 count. I really worked hard on Jane this since I saw you last. I have all my loaded needles on here still. I'll tell you what I did. I got all of that colorful dirt in. I got this tree in. I got this urn in. I got those two flower trees. I got this flower, this flower. So I really got a lot done. And so I'm burning it home. I've got to finish the borders, and then I've got to do the tree in the middle with the bird, but that won't be too bad. And then finish this other flower tree up. That tree was so fun to stitch. It's so pretty. Isn't it a beautiful sampler? So I am nearing the bend in the road for Jane Parsons. So that's 28 count, clay Cashel linen, Swati Auberson, 1 strand of wool over 2 linen threads. And so I worked on that. What's in this little bag? I mean, I worked on a little bit of everything. Okay. I am working on Pretty in Pink by Shakespeare's Peddler. Susie Q Stitches and Almost Amy are stitching this, and I'm stitching it along with them. And I'm using Fiber on a Whim, Milk and Honey, 36 count, and all the called for linen, all the called for threads. And I'll tell you what I did. Let me give you for reference. See the pot? I had gotten to about here. Well, I finished the base of the pot. And look at this. This is going to be long and tall, but it's going to be sweet. So I got all that pot done. I'm going to have to do the top of the pot, and then I'll begin working on my my flowers. So I did get a little bit of work on it. I sat with her. I'm showing you everything that I touched since I saw you last. Fiber on a Whim, Milk and Honey, 1 thread over 2 linen threads, called for threads. Yeah, Shakespeare's Peddler, Pretty in Pink. And if you read the jackets of your patterns, you read all kind of stuff. Tanya from the Scarlet House helped Shakespeare's Peddler, Kitten Stitcher, name that pattern. I love that. It's good to have friends, isn't it? Sometimes you get it on a loss, right? Okay, let me take a sip. My daughter bought me this a couple years ago. It says, I make pretty things. I hope you go get one of these. I think she got it at Hobby Lobby. Yep. I want to remind myself, I make pretty things. I want to make more pretty things, right? Love that. Okay. The next piece I worked on is from Stitched Sunbeams on Etsy. And Beth actually put on Facebook, I saw it late at night one night, and she was like, does anybody know who this pattern's by? And she showed a picture of somebody's finish, and it was this. Isn't he handsome? And I was like, oh, I need to find out who this is. I mean, of course, I grew up on a horse farm. He's a dandy. And so I think, let me see, it's by Stitch by Sunbeams. It's called Black Horse Fractor. Black Horse Fractor. F-R-A-K-T-U-R is how she spelled it. And you can find Stitched Sunbeams on Etsy. Black Horse Fractor. I'm using all of the called for colors. I am using some linen that came from Farm Girl Dry Goods. If you are part of her Patreon, you can be part of her linen program. And they dye it in-house. And the color of my linen is 36 count Twilight. And I got to start on it. But the one that Beth had put the photo of, somebody had done in a lighter gray, and I was like, oh, that is really pretty. And so I got going on it. And you know, this is just an evening stitch, but I mean, that's a lot of stitches there. But so I got to start on Black Horse Fractor. 36 count, all the called for colors, 1 thread over 2 linen threads, sunbeams, stitched sunbeams is the designer. Find her on Etsy. Okay, then, oh, you want to look at my pretty bag. It's this bag. This came from the Kentucky Needler, Beth. She made me this. Don't you just love it? She gave me this a year ago. I can't remember, but it says Ohio Centennial 1889, Livingston's Buckeye Garden Seeds. Yeah. When she makes pretty things, she gives me pretty things. She's a sweet lady. Love her. And what's inside of this is from Beth Twist from Heartstring Samplery. It's Thirsty Heart. Oh, aren't the flowers just gorgeous? In the Bible, the flowers in the Bible verse got me. As the heart pants after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O God. It's one of my favorites. And I'm using all of the called for threads. And let me see if I can't find what linen I'm using before I pull it out. Okay, I have my project tracker card. Thank you, Shellie Fry. Okay, so it is Haberdashery 36 count medium dark by Mason Linens. And I did change some threads. Grasshopper replaced by 3013 DMC. I must not have had Grasshopper. So I replaced it with 3013 DMC. Gentle Arts Old Brick. It called for Weeks Dye replaced by, it called for Gentle Arts Old Brick, and I replaced it with Weeks Dye Works Cinnabar. And then Gentle Arts Harvest Basket, I replaced it with DMC 842. Oh, I mean, I had 4 exchanges. So in Weeks Dye Works Bullfrog, I replaced it with Weeks Dye Works Garrison Green. So I had 4 replacements for my threads. So I'm glad I pulled that out. And so, but all the rest are the called for, and I got a good start on it. I just have to fill in those beautiful leaves, and I can motor on to another flower, I think. It's very beautiful, and it's beautiful linen. So I started that. It was Sampler September, so let me just tell you something. I think that people were showing so many samplers. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. And then the next thing I worked on was from Barbara Hutson from Queenstown Samplers. I had showed you this before I had started it, and I got one of the big flowers done, and then it was in my whips. And it was on a big piece of linen. Let me tell you what the linen is. I want it to be big, so I did it on 32 count. And it's on Fortnite Fabrics Caravan Tan Lugana, 32 count. 32 count Lugana Caravan Tan by Fortnite Fabrics, all the called for DMCs. And this is what Elizabeth Jordan looks like. I pulled her out to work on her because Barbara was at the Guild, coming to the Guild to lecture us. And so we decided that if we had a whip going or if we had a finish, we'd bring them all and put them on the brag table. I actually had this pattern when I started it originally in my stash. And the Guild, we joined with Dayton EGA, and we had a lecture on Baltimore eyeglass samplers. If you look at the gate, it looks like stacked up Mrs. Beasley eyeglasses. You see that? and I was like, I have that sampler. So I ran upstairs and grabbed it and I started it and I did one of the big flowers and then it was back into my whips. I'll tell you, it's a big piece of fabric. And so now that I'm scroll rodding it, it really makes you want to just pull it out because you're not manhandling a bed blanket. So I had that flower and then I added those vines to it and those other 2 flowers. So I got a little start, and although it's 32 count, I'm only using 1 strand over. Am I using 1 strand? Hold on just a second. Yes, I'm using 1 strand over 2 because it's my party. I'm stitching it how I want to. Look how beautiful that is. That's 1 strand over 2 linen threads. And so I got the corner looking pretty good. And so I'm hoping to work on her. And I have a bunch of Queenstown samplers that I'm going to share with you as we go through things. Okay, so that's all my cross stitch whips. So that was what, 6 or 7 whips and 2 finishes. So I put my hand to the needle a lot, and then I've been doing my model stitching too. So, woo, when you see everything else, I'm just gonna keep on going. Okay, but so that is all of my cross stitch whips. Now, before I move on to my other whips that are not cross stitch related, I do want to talk about my birthday sow. Now, for my birthday, I have chosen a new pattern. Let me take it out of the bag so you can see it. It's Bless Our Home by Lottie Da. Who doesn't need more blessings? Bless our home, Lord. So I thought, I want to do that one. And Lori did such a beautiful job. And my friend Lisa Anders, she did this. And oh, it was gorgeous. And so I was like, I need to do that. So this is going to be my 2025 Shelley's birthday sow. What should I call my birthday sow? Shelley's 2025 birthday sow. How about that? Let me write that down. Shelley's 2025 birthday SAL. Okay, now the linen that I'm using is 30. I haven't started because I'm going to, October 18 is my birthday. So I just dropped the needle that I stuck in there. Shelly, remember to pick that up off the floor. Okay, so I'm using Vintage Country Mocha 36 count to stitch mine on. My friend Lisa did hers on Vintage Country Mocha. And I was like, yeah, that looked gorgeous. Easily accessible. So 36 count. And then all of the beautiful called for colors. So no deviations here, just all the called for colors. And so anyway, October 18th, which is next, not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, it is when that is. And I will start this on my birthday morning. That is what I'm going to spend the morning doing on October 18th. And then I'm going to a wedding later in the day. So if you would like to join me, hurry up and grab you Bless Our Home by Lottie Da. Vintage Country Mocha, I promise you, it is so gorgeous done on this, and all the called for colors. Lisa did hers with all the called for colors, and it was just absolutely beautiful. It calls for tarragon and bayberry and ruby slipper and harvest basket. So just beautiful colors. So if you'd like to join me, I would love for you to stitch along with me for my Shelley's 2025 birthday sow. And if you do, please hashtag when you post so that I can see. I'd love to see your progress. And I am committed that since I have 2 birthday sales going to be going, I'm going to work on those birthday sales. Let's get those done. Okay, so I'm going to show you the other whips that I've been working on. Okay, let me show you this first because it's a semi whip. Okay, you know that I did work on this, so let me just say that. But you know, I have wanted to get my Christmas blanket done, right? And so I added some more squares to this. Okay, isn't it going to be pretty? And so I've got tails everywhere. So I've added some squares to that, and I've made some more squares to add to my pile. And so with that being said, I had an issue. I almost had a stroke because this yarn that I did the green with, I had one skein of it when I started that. And I very quickly went and looked, and it was a Premier yarn, an acrylic yarn, and they have that kind of yarn, but they don't have that colorway anymore. And so I was trying to be tremendously judicious and be very careful. And, you know, I really thought that I would have enough to pull it off, because guess what? I mean, it's only the green, right? And so I gotta find where, oh, there it is. Okay, good. So anyway, so I've made another stack of my granny squares, but I ran out of the green, and I almost had a heart attack because I was like, oh my goodness, I've got little squares here. So, but I thought, what am I gonna do? And so I went on a mad dash. I had tried this and looked for stuff, but I really was convinced I was gonna be able to pull it off. And so, but unfortunately I ran out. And so it's funny, colors are funny. It's just like threads, you know, yeah. Sometimes that you just are not gonna find that exact color, and it's important to have the right amount, which, you know, I really didn't want it to be patchworky because I've already got so much of the blanket connected together. So if I found a green that wouldn't match, so I went to Hobby Lobby, I went to Michael's, I surfed the internet, I Amazoned, I ordered some stuff in, no luck. And so then one late night, I happened to be on Amazon. And, you know, it's terrible. It's very hard purchasing things online because, you know, the color can be really skewed. And so anyway, but I ordered some yarn, and 4 little flat, they were shrink wrapped down, but these came, and when I opened the package, I thought, oh, goody. I think I've hit it close enough. This is the original color, and this is the new color, and I think this is the closest I've come, and I'm just gonna go with it. I know that it's not the very exact shade, but this is the closest that I've come. That a lot of greens are yellow, and so it just was really, really tough. So I'm gonna be back on the Christmas blanket. As you can see, like I said, hold on, let me pull them back up. I've got this many more done. So, and I added my stack last time that I showed you to the blanket. And so anyway, I'm back in business. I was working. I almost thought, you know, I'm gonna have to make a concession here that I'm not gonna be really happy about. I think I'm okay happy now. I mean, so let's hold this up. See, I think it'll work, and nobody will be the wiser. I'm not going to let that dissuade me or discourage me, because this blanket's going to be gorgeous, and it's going to be done so I can have it out during the holiday season. So I worked on that a little bit, added squares and made some more squares, and thank you, Jesus, I found yarn so I could finish it. Note to you, don't start something with one of one, okay? Okay, that's just my FYI. Okay, my middle son, Matt, he and my youngest daughter, I have one daughter. My son, Matt, and my daughter are quilt fanatics. And oh, isn't that just wonderful? And so he was talking lovingly about the quilt on his bed that he sleeps with every night that his mama made him. You want to push every kind button in a mama's heart and make her heart swell up. You talk about stuff like that. And so, and I was like, I should make him another one. I don't want him just to wear that one out since he's using it all the time. So like I had any business starting another quilt, I started another quilt. This is a free pattern that you can go to Fat Quarter Shop and get. It's called the Charm Pack Shortbread. It's kind of a version. It's got like a checkerboard center, and so it makes like an Irish chain with a checkerboard in the center. I'm just going to hold this part up so that I don't want to show you the measurements. You need to go to Fat Quarter Shop, and it's free of charge, and download it. Isn't it wonderful that we can get free patterns? Like I just was like, oh, I'm gonna make Maddie a new quilt. How about it? So anyway, I'm using the Charm Pack Nest by Layla Boutique. Look at these pretty colors. So there's 42 squares in each of these, and you pair them with a white, and you do this magic cutting. And when you do that, I have all these. Let me see if I've got one finished or if these are just together. Oh, okay. So, and it'll make 2 of these. And then this is not a very good color to show you that. I sewed together, let me show you. So 42 ends up making 84. And you sew them together, and this is what they look like. And so I got 2 blocks completely put together. So see, it makes 2 and then 2, okay? And so, but I got 1 charm pack and 1 solid charm pack. Well, it wasn't a charm pack. I took yardage and cut 5-inch squares. And so I have all of these. So there's 42 little clipped bundles, but there's 2 square sets in each. And so, but I have these all together, so like I can pair them. Like, wouldn't this be pretty paired together to make a block? So I'm actually doing a big size. So I've got 3 more charm packs to do that too. So, but I got to start. I just sat for an afternoon, and it just made my mama heart swell, because I know when Maddie and Faith get this quilt, they're just going to be gaga because they love them. I make them quilts, and all I hear about is, oh, I love you. Thank you so much. Oh, I love your quilts. So I have an audience of quilt lovers in my family. My oldest son and his wife, they love the fact that I make them quilts, but they find them a little too warm. They like a little more of the different kind. So I make them for them, but not as much as the other ones. And it's not for lack of love. It's because I want them to have them, but they're to look at because they don't use them, because they prefer a different type of blanket. So this is the Charm Pack Shortbread by Fat Quarter Shop. So I'll try to put a link. Let me write that down. For quilt, Charm Pack, Shortbread, link. Okay, I will give you a link for that. So I started that, and then I had showed you some string quilting that I had done, and it was going to be for Veda for Christmas. And I changed my mind because one day I went up and I was going through my cabinets with all my fabric in it. But what should we call it? Lollygagging, hem hauling, hanging out. My husband would say she's touching her fabric. She's up there petting her wool. That's the things he says. And when I was petting my fabric, I came upon some fabric that I had forgotten that I had purchased with my granddaughter in mind. They have chickens and goats, and they raise bunnies, and they show in the fair, and they just love all of the things like that. And I had bought this fabric and forgot all about it. So you need to go lollygagging in your fabric. So I'm going to make Veda's quilt different. I'm going to finish that that string quilt that I showed, doing the garden trellis method that I'm teaching, and I'll keep it or I'll give it to somebody else in the family, because this has got to go to Veda, because I want you to look at this fabric with the chickens and strawberries and butterflies and bunnies. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to make her an Irish chain. So I did a whole bunch of strip piecing to do my start on my Irish chains. I sat out here for an afternoon and worked on some of that. And yeah, I was, when I saw this fabric, I thought, what were you thinking, Shellie Fry? Let me show you the fabric. Here's the fabric. Look, it's bunnies, chickens, strawberries, butterflies. When I saw this had my granddaughter and my family written all over it. And so up it went, and look at the beautiful flowers. Beautiful flowers. So I was like, oh, I'm shifting gears ASAP. And so here's some more of the fabrics. It's the full line. These are, you know, blenders. So, and then I had another line of fabric, and this couldn't have been more perfect to go with. It says farm to table, locally grown, dairy, certified fresh. It's got chickens, it's got goats, it's got pigs, it's got, so this might be a good back for that, but this is another in the line. And then there is a borders. Oh, where did that borders go? Oh, darn it. Did I stick it back upstairs again? I showed it the other day to somebody. They came over and I said, oh, I switched gears. Oh, and look, strawberries. Oh, I put this fabric inside of our sock bags when I did Lisa and Carrie and I, the sock bags. So anyhow, I shifted gears and I started that quilt. And the borders all have farm fresh and goats and chickens and bunnies on it. And so I'm going to do the center as an Irish chain, do a solid border, and then put the borders that have, say, farm fresh and all that, and probably use one of these as the back of the quilt. I'll break my own rule, and because I always use muslin on the back because that's how the old ladies taught me, and that's how I do it. So, and I have her in a Ann's 1803 Ohio Farm basket, and I worked on that. I did a lot of quilting and crocheting this month. Let me show you. I have 2 more quilt projects down here to show you, but I'm going to show you a crochet project. So, you know, I had showed you my mile a minute blanket, and I'm doing that for a Christmas present. And then I thought, well, I need to do another blanket for another kid. So I had some beautiful wool. This is Cascade 128 Superwash, and it's as soft as can be. And then I had bought this Galway Plymouth yarns. This is a beautiful wool, and I had bought this to do a sweater for a stitch along with a knit group, and I never did. And I was like, oh my gosh, if you put those together, that would make a beautiful moss stitch blanket. So while I was waiting for yarn to arrive to work on my Christmas blanket, I started another blanket. This will be a couch throw for a gift. Oh, it smells so good. I love the smell of wool. And so that it's just a moss stitch. That's it. Consists of a single crochet and a chain. It's like super easy. And I just carry up my white yarn through every row. You can see that. But then as I'm crocheting, I just crochet over my ends, and I don't have all those ends when I snip them. And so I got to start on a blanket for a gift. There we go. And I just, I think it took an even number of stitches, and I just chained my starting chain as far wide as I thought. I am going to put a cream border around it, so it'll build it up too, but it'll be a nice couch throw. I mean, I think that's a good size. And then put some borders around it. And so I worked on that. And here is another question that I had asked. someone had asked me, they said, I'm having a really hard time keeping my tension right. Can you give me some help on crochet hooks? And so, yes, I can, because over here, you can see, I've talked about this. I have the dandies of all dandies of crochet hooks. I've bought one, Furls hooks, all the metal, the wood, I've bought them all. I have the Clover Amore ones. Those are all tapered shanks. I prefer a $2 or $3 Susan Bates Comfort Grip. And this is what it looks like. And I'm going to show you why. Are you having trouble, like my viewer, with keeping your tension? It could be because you're using a tapered hook. Okay, from the front, it looks like it's tapered, but that's not the truth. When you turn it around, the barrel is completely congruent. So when you're dishing out and getting that yarn, it's looping around that shank, and it's not tapering down in size. That's what happens, and that's what gives a lot of people not very good success with their tension, and it really gets upsetting to a new crocheter. So if you see that, when that loop is sitting on there, it is getting perfect tension. And you see, because that is not tapering down. It's a solid, good shank. So take my advice. These things, they're nice. They are. They're very pretty too. They're highly expensive. But the good old Susan Bates, go to Hobby Lobby, go to Michael's. I like the comfort grip on it. But I have the plain metal ones. I have some of these things from when I started crocheting when I was a teenager. I mean, they're never going to go away. But anyway, $2-3, these are the best, and you're going to get consecutive good outcomes on your crochet. So my suggestion is Susan Bates, whether it's a comfort grip or not, just as long as it's a Susan Bates with the solid shank up the back. That's my tip. So to my viewer who asked that, that's the answer to your question. Okay. Now I worked on 2 more quilts, and these are my hand piecing quilts. And I worked on my Manx. I made some more blocks, but then I connected 4 of them. And so this is the kind of quilt my mom is going to be making. And every bit of this, if you didn't know this and you're a quilter, I did pick my finger, a little hydrogen peroxide, it'll take that blood right out. But so anyway, so I connected some of my blocks. And then now my stack has grown to this big. So I just keep doing this, and I do it all by hand, no machine, right there sitting at the table. And so I made a few more blocks, and then I connected 4 blocks together. So I worked on my Manx, M-A-N-X. That was the other question. Another question that I had was, Shellie, why isn't that a log cabin? Okay, I think I need to do a tutorial, but I'm going to do 2 tutorials for quilting, because I want to share, I'm going to tell you in a minute, and this because I've been getting a lot of questions. Yes, indeed, it looks just like, and it's executed very closely to a log cabin, but what you do is you are doing this. Let me pull up a piece of plain fabric. You are applying with no batting in between onto a said size block. The block will never be any bigger than this. The difference is a log cabin, you can continue to grow it as big as you want. Okay, and the other thing is this quilt form is touted to the Isle of Man, and the people who live in the Isle of Man are known as the Manx, M-A-N-X. They are part of the UK, but they are a dependent. Is that funny? That's really what they are. They're dependent. So I guess it's one of the islands that they owned, but they're not considered
Are they British? I can't remember. But so anyway, but they were out, if England's here and Ireland's here and Scotland's here, Ireland's out here in the water and the Isle of Man is right here. Okay. And so they made do with things, and this is how they sewed these by hand. And it's a folding technique. See, look, now the other, if you were doing a log cabin, this would all be sewed down, but this is folded and pleated. It stays in place. It's done all by hand. It's quilted as you go. There's no batting, but it still has a lot of breadth because you've got all this fabric on top of that other fabric. It's a really fun quilt. You know me, I'm all about handwork. I love working with, I have the greatest equipment, and my favorite equipment is right here. So that's what that's another thing I've been working on. And then I've showed you this a long time ago. I'm going to show you it because, and this is another video I would like to make for you. Tell me if you'd like me to make a Manx video. Let me know, because I'll sit with you and I'll just sit on the couch and stitch and show you it right along the way, or at the table or whatever. The next one, I've showed you this once before, I believe. It's my Cathedral windows quilt that I have been working on. I have been preparing, let me show you. Each of these little blocks is an individual little block. This is another finish it when you finish as it goes. Those are all made up of these little origamied fabric, okay? So you make a little pouch. You take this fabric, and I want to show you how many I've done. I have a huge stack of these. And then you sew up the two sides. And I am doing, on the packets, I am doing these with machine. And then you pull it like this, and then you sew it across, leave a hole, flip it inside out, make this little origami, use this little technique and sew down under the wings and hook them together. I'll do a tutorial if you're interested. And then I hand stitch each of the windows in here. This has been a languishing project. I don't consider it a languishing project. This is 18 little boxes wide. So there are 36 connected to make this one row. I am going to make as many, I don't know how many rows it's going to end up being. This is going to be how wide it's going to be, which is humongous. But I don't know how wide the other direction it's going to be. I'm going to make sets of 2 just like this. And then do you see how this is? Then you take another block, you lift up the little window and sew along the little line, and then they're connected, you see? But it'd be too hard to handle a big giant quilt like this. So I'm going to do them in rows of 2 like this. My friend, Miss Kay, who I've told you about, who was one of my dear friends from church, she sewed in the sewing ministry for me at the church. We were dear friends. All the old ladies came to my house every Tuesday and we sewed together. All of my friends are gone except for one. And I miss them dearly. Miss Kay was tremendously close to me. I'd take her on rug hooking retreats. We did all kinds of things together. I inherited her entire sewing room, except for her sewing machine. When she passed away, her daughter-in-law, Charmin, got her sewing machine. But I have some knowledge that I got from Miss Kay. When the ladies would come, about once a month, I would tell everybody, you know, I would assign it to somebody. It's your month to teach us something new. And so on whatever given Tuesday, whoever's turn it was, would teach all of us something we didn't know. And so Miss Kay taught us to make these, the Cathedral window quilt. I still have, this is the paper. that Miss Kay, I wrote the instructions on the day that she taught that class. Now I changed my measurements a little bit. The story behind her learning how to do this, her husband, Miss Kay was older than me. I wanted to remind you of that. Miss Kay's husband's grandmother's name was Era. And Grandma Era, her favorite quilt to make was a cathedral window quilt, and she made them for everybody in the family. When Miss Kay married David, Grandma Era taught Miss Kay how to make a cathedral windows quilt, and that's what she taught us that day. Now, the reason why I want, first of all, I love to share everything with you, but I do have an ulterior motive here. I want to teach not only you, but Miss Kay. Before she died, Miss Kay had one son. His name is Daniel. Daniel has two sons. One, she got to go to his wedding before she died. Before Miss Kay died, one of the grandsons got married. The last task I was given was to finish blankets because she wanted those grandboys to have a blanket that was crocheted by her, so that when they had children, they would have something from her. And so she finished one, and the last thing that she could say to me, that hospice was picking her up from her house, and her husband called me, and I ran down there. And then I was with her at hospice too, but the last directive I've got from her before she was unconscious was she asked me to go to the living room. She woke up and she said, "How did you know?" I said, "Well, Dave-O called me." And so I waited for the ambulance with him to come and get her. But she said, "Go to the living room and get that blanket and finish it. And you have to give it to Charmin and Daniel to give to the boys, because that way each of them has a blanket for when they have babies." That's the last, all she could think of was making. And she wanted to bless that family, her family. Well, I got to thinking about it. I knew that Charmin wanted to learn to embroidery with an embroidery machine. And Miss Kay, listen, we picked that machine out together. And she had bought that machine, and so when she passed away, Charmin got it. And I do hope that Charmin learned to embroidery with the embroidery sewing machine. But I don't think she knew how to sew. I could be wrong, and Charmin sometimes watches, so Charmin, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But one of the things is I don't know that Miss Kay shared with Charmin or the one granddaughter-in-law, Grandma Era's blanket. And I still want to continue her legacy for her. And so I thought, if I teach you to make the cathedral window the way Miss Kay taught me, then there would be a video record. I'm going to cry. I'm sorry, I didn't see this coming. There'll be a video record for Charmin and the two daughters-in-law of a heritage that maybe nobody else in the family can share. And so in honor of Miss Kay, I think I want to do a tutorial and teach how Grandma Era taught Miss Kay and Miss Kay taught us how to make this blanket. And so if you're interested in that, please chime in below. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, but I would like to do that for Miss Kay's family as well, so that the girls, I can tell them exactly everything she said to me. I still have the original paper I wrote on. I have my measurements so that it's a little bit bigger. Grandma Era started with a foundation square like this of 7 inches. No way. Mine are 9.5 because they come down to this big once they're origamied. So anyway, but I will be able to tell them exactly the measurements that Grandma, that would have been their great grandmother, the granddaughters-in-law, and it would have been Daniel's great grandmother. But I want the Brooks family to have that knowledge, and I want Miss Kay to share with them through me the things that she showed me. So you want to see how to do that? Let me know in the comments, because I'd like to share. Sorry, I could start crying on you. I didn't mean to, but I worked on that because I want to take my Manx and I want to take my cathedral window, because all I do, I do my blocks like this and make my rows on the machine, and then I hand sew the little windows in, and but I can show both methods in the tutorial. But I want to get the rows together, because when we're in the car driving to Florida and I can't see to stitch, I want to work on my quilts. And so I want these to be, this and my Manx to be my winter quilt hand. And I do have a sewing machine at the Florida house, but I want to work on those when I go to Florida. So I thought I'd get that together, and it made me reminisce and all the things. So those are all my whips, except for one. I do have one more. And I showed this the other day. I was warping my tape loom. I bought some new shuttles for my tape loom. And what's a tape loom? Well, back in the day, there's big looms, and this is a little loom. And back before there were handmade before there were belts and stuff like that, or hair bows. Where did this stuff come from for hair bows? Well, it was tiny weaving. And so I've had this tape loom for several years, but the handy woman on Etsy and her website, she's also, her name is Janet Fox. She's on Instagram. She's a woodworker, and are these little shuttles not the cat's pajamas? And I saw them, and I treated myself, this is attached to my weaving, to a set of Janet's. I didn't need them, but they were pretty. And I was like, oh, I want a new set for my tape loom. And it's the perfect time, because I will warp up my loom and I will make a new hat band for my sun hat. And so I, the other day, did a video on Instagram, and I warped up my tape loom, and I've been weaving this band to make a new hat band. Now, this is gonna be a couple things. This is gonna go back to my maker's moment. When you first of all, the tension on this, there's not a front bar. So if you're a weaver, you know that there's a back bar and a front beam, a back beam and a front beam. And so you're warping this is your warp. See, you're learning how linen's made too. Weaving's weaving. Okay, so this is a warp, the vertical threads. They would be on there, and you would normally move your heddles, and it makes a shed, or the way, or the way that you get the shuttle through it, an up shed or a down shed, and you throw your shuttle through there, okay? And so, but this, the tension is you hold this, and you're not moving your heddles, you're moving the literal warp to make the shed to weave through. So when the very beginning, at the very start, which here's the end of my warp, and then you begin to weave, okay? So I want you to see this. I could let this bother me, and it doesn't at all. Remember when I was talking about in the maker's moment how things look imperfect, and you could say, oh, I don't want to show that to anybody because it's imperfect. See right here? When I steam this and give it a stretch, it's going to look just fine. That side will look just fine. But when you're beginning weaving, you know, sometimes if you tension, when you're very first pulling on the warp, when you're weaving on a box loom, your side might get a little wonky in the very beginning. You get deeper into the weaving before it starts getting a little, you know, you just might not have perfect edges. That's what I was talking about. Is that going to settle, you know, settle the deal and me not weave anymore? Absolutely not. No, I'm going to keep on weaving, because that's going to be, it's navy blue and pink and white. Isn't that going to be pretty on a hat band on my sun hat? And I warped up my loom enough that I think I have enough for Carrie and maybe for my daughter to have a hat band too. And when you warp up this loom, I put papers underneath when I roll it onto the beam, because if you don't, then it gets intermingled and you can't get good tension because it needs to lay flat. On my big 36-inch loom upstairs, I have craft paper on a roll, and I pull off sheets of it, and as you're cranking that warp on, you put the paper on there. I just take a piece of printer paper and cut it in half because it's too wide, but I take it and then I slide them back together to just the right width. And so I warped up the band loom, the tape loom, and I'm making hat bands. And so I did a little weaving this time as well. And so that was another project that I worked on. And my pattern that I'm doing came from a book. It's called Hand Woven Tape. And this book is an absolutely phenomenal resource. There's not only patterns in here, there's the history of tape weaving. You can watch some videos on YouTube. Look up Eleanor Biddle, B-I-T-T-L-E. She's the foremost leading authority on tape looms, and it's a very old video, and I don't know that Eleanor's with us still, but they're great. You can see different examples of looms. They have some that's just this, which is this is the heddle that you're leading this through, and then it's got some cutouts on the side, and you stick it between your knees. It's kind of like backstrap weaving. So like you have a heddle like that, and then you hook your warp to like a loop on a tree, and you put that there, and you hold the other end, and you lift it and lower it to make your sheds, and you weave back and forth. They were industrious back in the day, so before machines. But anyway, this book has just got all kinds of information in it, and the pattern I'm weaving is, I'm going to cover the pattern itself. It's called the Cinco de Mayo, and it was done in green and red and cream, and it's on page 174. But I'm covering up the draft because I don't want to give away the pattern. You need to get the book if you want to do that. But the history of so much information about weaving. Here's some examples, like the top of a sack to hold up their stockings, to hold up their breeches, to tie off their hair. They tied muslin over the top of jars. Where they couldn't go to Michael's and just buy some ribbon. They went and they wove it. And whether it's the tiniest, where do you think a shoestring came from? Somebody learned to weave that. And so anyway, this is just minute weaving. And that leads me to, I had other questions. When I showed that on Instagram, yes, I do have a bigger loom. I have a 36-inch Kromsky rigid heddle loom. I had a floor loom that took up half the room upstairs in the 3rd floor, and I donated it to a church. It was a 4-shaft jack loom. And the church that I donated it to, they have a ministry that weaves mats for the homeless. And 90% of the time that floor loom sat upstairs. It just was so much more to warp up, and I didn't use it as much. And I can warp up my 36-inch double heddle and just go to town on it and make all kind of things. It's warped right now with I did a long run so I could do a whole bunch of them, but I have dish towels on there. But what I did before that was I had a bunch of dish rags. And so I wove this dish rag, and this is what it looked like when it came off of the loom. You want to see what it really looks like when it comes off the loom. So I did a whole big run of them. This is separating. You know how you hem stitch a cross stitch piece? Well, you hem stitch the exact same way. So at the end, when you think this is long enough, you hem stitch it. And then this is a double divide using, funny enough, toilet paper. That was an old weaver's trick that I was taught. And so each divide shows, I pulled out the divide so that you could see it. So, but it's hem stitched, it's just fine. And so the whole row, these are all dish rags. So when I will trim, let me show you the front. So I will trim this off at that fringe, right at all the way up, because it's not going anywhere because it's been hem stitched just like you would do a cross stitch piece. And then what I would do is I'll fold it over twice, and then I'll stick it on my sewing machine and I will hem it down. I don't have to, I do it for security. And so anyway, yeah, so this is one of my wash rags. Isn't it pretty? And so these are the dish rags, and the dish towels. I think I warped enough to maybe make 15 or 20 dish towels, maybe 15. And so, and these are the dish rags to go with. And so, yes, I do weave on a weaving loom. And like I said, it's a Kromsky rigid heddle. I learned to weave many, many, many years ago. And then about, I want to say 12 years ago, I took a whole bunch of online classes. There's a woman named Kelly Casanova, and she's on YouTube, and she has over 300 free videos to learn from. But I wanted to learn croquebruck, and I wanted to, that's a type of weaving pattern in the weave, and I wanted to learn basket weave with using a rigid heddle, since I knew I was going to give away the floor loom, and so it had different shafts. So a rigid heddle, you can put 2 shafts on it, and then you can use pickup sticks to create more sheds. So you can create as many sheds as you want and make it like a 4, a 6, and 8 shaft loom using pickup sticks, but I didn't know how to do that. So I took classes, and she has a school online, very, very reasonable. So if you've ever been interested in weaving, I think Kelly Casanova from Australia is fantastic, and you can learn tons off of the 300 free videos from her. But yes, I do weave. I've talked about that before, that I'm a weaver too. And so these are some of the types of things, scarves, dish rags, dish towels. I did a coverlet once where I took the 36-inch fabric and then connected it and made it wider. And so, yeah, and you can too. It's fun, so much fun. And so I would encourage you, check out Kelly if you're interested in weaving. So I got those questions from my Instagram. Okay. I have some things. The other question was, I had been asked, I've dropped one of the yarns. Let me see real quick. Where'd it go? Oh, I can't reach it. The pink color that is on the loom. This is all cotton or cotton and bamboo. I had this asked on Instagram. The pink is, I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby. It's 100% cotton. The white is Lion Brand Kabu, and it's a bamboo cotton mix. And then this is a bamboo cotton mix that is from Ice Yarns. I just thought that would be the best fiber to use, because your hat band on your hat, so when you sweat, so a cotton and bamboo, a natural fiber, I chose to use that. But yes, that's what I used. And and the person asked me, did I buy things from one place? No, I buy from all kind of places, just like we do all the other things. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, prior to, I'm going to show you, I'm an affiliate for the Fat Quarter Shop, and Fat Quarter Shop has sent some things that they wanted you to see that are their newest featured items. I'm going to show you those, but first I'm going to talk to you about next June, Threadworks Fair. I will be teaching there. I am teaching a class called Stitching Meaning, and I'm going to dive deep with you into the meaning of colors and motifs and all the things about what might have gone through the mind of the young girls. I have very, very few spaces left if you are considering it all, and I got one of the big rooms. So if you are considering going to ThreadWorks Fair and you are interested in my class, you can go to the ThreadWorks Fair website, and I will link that below. Let me write that down, ThreadWorks. Okay, and but anyway, go. I am teaching on Friday afternoon. It's in New Harmony, Indiana, in June of next year. I am very thrilled. We get 3 hours to teach, so I'm really going to get a lot of time. You're going to get a kit per se, but I'm teaching you to do something. So one of the items that I have is I got to talk to Brenda Keys, which, oh my gosh, she is just, she is the OG. She's been around and she is so brilliant. And so one of the resources that will be in your kit for my class is Brenda Key's book. They just arrived from her. I have everything. It is only October. All of my kits are ready for the ThreadWorks Fair, but it's the Ultimate Sampler Motif Source Book. This is one of the things that you will get in your kit for your making. For my class, you get a hoop, you're going to get thread, you're going to have everything that you need to accomplish what we are going to learn in my class that day. And so I wanted to show you part of your class goods and just remind you my spaces are super limited. I'm almost sold out. And once I'm sold out, I will go into a wait list. You can go and read on the ThreadWorks Fair the synopsis of my class, so you understand what I'm teaching, and for your consideration. And then it'll tell you how to contact me, and if you're interested, I'll get you all signed up. So if you're interested in that, run, don't walk, because those spaces are almost all gone. And so anyhow, I wanted to tell you that. And then I'm going to show you the things that are the featured items for Fat Quarter Shop this month. This is a quilt book called Fat Quarters by the Dozen by It's So Emma. And this is one of Fat Quarter Shop's featured items this month. As well as Threaded Star by Cassidy Grace. It's a pattern. As well as Rows of Bows by Cassidy Grace. Isn't that adorable? That'd be cute for a granddaughter. And then for your cross-stitching pleasure, it's the Pennyberry Farm series by Kim Deal that you can stitch onto one of the mesh bags, and it's called Completely Caty. And there was a sweet lady named LaDawn who, was it LaDawn? I'm not sure. But when I did the retreat at Prairie Moon Primitives, one of the ladies stitched this on to linen, and it was so cute. It was one of this series. But so these are really cute series that you can stitch on the mesh bags or on linen, whatever you'd like. So those are the featured items for Fat Quarter Shop. I'm going to link below how you can reach and find each of those items at the Fat Quarter Shop. So now I'm going to show you all the stuff that I've bought since I saw you last. So there is a new quilt fabric line. Oh, it's slipping out of my hand. Let me take the plastic off of it. But it caught my attention because you know my bestie, Carrie, loves Sunbonnet Sue. And so this is Sunbonnet by Heather Briggs of My So Quilty Life. This is her new quilt fabric line. And you know, I think I'm going to pull this bottom one out because I think this is where the Sunbonnet Sue is. It's a panel. Or wait a minute. I'm not going to... Okay, let me just show you the pretty colors. I bought a panel because I bought some background fabric, and I think I bought another panel, if I'm thinking correctly. I just bought yardage from Fat Quarter Shop. Oh, I want you to look at these. These are for my backgrounds. I wanted to have more of these. I got this one, and those little flowers look like they're cross-stitched. And then I bought this fabric, and I thought I bought another panel. Let me see. I must not have. I just must have bought a ton of this yardage, the cream. Okay, I'm going to pull it out so that you can see it, because I want you to see the panel. I can't leave a girl hanging now, can I? Or a guy, if you're a guy quilter. Okay, oh my gosh. I saw the panel. I was watching a local quilt shop's video, and I saw this, and I about stroked because I thought, Carrie will die. Look at Sunbonnet. Oh, isn't she cute? So I bought the panel. It's in my bundle, but I'm going to make this quilt, and it is my So Quilty Life's pattern. It's called Starburst, and it's using the Sunbonnet fabric collection. But isn't that quilt gorgeous? And so let me cover that up, but show you the picture. So like I said, I bought a lot of this. Maybe maybe I bought all of that. Maybe I bought this particular one because I may use it as a back, but I bought the other two fabrics as backgrounds for the blocks. I don't know, but I got plenty. And so I bought this yardage, and this is all from the Sunbonnet, fabric line from Heather Briggs from My So Quilty Life. And so I'm so excited about it, and aren't they just adorable? So it caught my attention. I was seeing it, these sunbonnets, and I thought, oh, my friend Carrie, she'll have a stroke when she sees that. And so I bought that quilt pattern and all the fabric in the bundle to go with. And then I was on Instagram, and I got sucked into another quilt. There is a quilt place called Easy Peasy Quilts, and I saw this blanket, this quilt, but what you can't see is the centers of these, and this is Easy Peasy Quilts, so that you can see. This is a Fussy Frames pattern. I bought the Fat Quarter Bundle, the backing, and they have these neat things. Look at this. These are binding strips. You cut them apart, and look, bees and butterflies. You know Shellie loves that. And then you got the background fabric, but what drew me in was what's fussy cut in the center of those. And they're all Bible verses. And I fell in love with it. So I bought 2 extra sets of these, and then this came in my quilt kit. And each of these has a Bible verse on it. And I thought, I have to have that. But my daughter's gonna want to be covered in Bible verses too. So Mama bought more so that there could be more than Mama's quilt. But this is for me. And I couldn't help myself when I saw that panel. See, I got sucked in. So this is called Fussy Frames Quilt Pattern. And it is, as I said, Easy Peasy Quilts. If you're on Instagram, you see their stuff all the time if you look at anything quilty. So I bought that quilt kit. I could quilt all day. Speaking of quilts, my bestie, Carrie, Tiger Lily Designs, is doing a churn dash quilt along through the whole month of October. If you go and join her Patreon, you can join for free. It's a Patreon exclusive. And so you have to be on there. And so she sold quilt kits, and I bought that. and it is Songbird by Edita Sitar from Laundry Basket Quilts. Oh my goodness, do I love Edita Sitar. She has got beautiful fabric. But so anyway, it is week 2, and so you're not too far behind. Listen, I barely cut up fabric, so it'll be there in posterity on her Patreon. So go, I'm gonna put let me put a link to that. Carrie's Patreon. Do you have to write yourself a list for everything? Oh, Lord of mercy, I do. Okay, so what else have I got? When I went down to Beth, my model stitcher's house, and Mom was examining the walls, I began to examine the walls just a little bit more too, because Beth has she's a prolific stitcher, and she has big, huge pieces everywhere. They're beautiful. She's a model stitcher for Kathy Barrick as well. And so she had these 2 work basket, and I used to love the work basket patterns. One is called Landscape and one's called Americana. And this is what it looks like. I bought these on the secondary market on eBay. And this says, cloth is my acre on which I sew so beautifully and diligently. And then the landscape one looks like this. And it says, the needle is my plow with which I sew so beautifully and skillfully. And I was like, I need to do those. I have no business signing up for nothing, and I'm signing up for everything. So I have fabric out the yin yang, but I did buy enough of the thread for both pieces, so I bought those on eBay. And so what else have I got? Oh, Liberty of London. You know, I love Liberty of London. And I showed you before, I showed you an antique etui, which is a fancy name for a like origami sewing box. Liberty of London came out with them, and they're calling theirs Victorian style. Apologies, I killed the battery in the camera. So what was I saying? I was talking about the Victorian fancy sewing box by Liberty of London. Do you want to see what it does? You open it up and look at there. And it looks just like a vintage etui. So it's done in Liberty of London fabric, and it's this origami sewing box. I couldn't help myself. And so it's just so neat. And so I bought it on an Etsy shop, but I'll just tell you here, just look up, go to Etsy or to the Google, Club Liberty Craft Victorian style sewing box is what they called it. Look up Liberty of London sewing box. And you can pick different fabrics. The only reason why I say I'm not gonna put a link is because I think that there was only like 1 or 2 on the Etsy shop that I had gone to. So, but when you fold it back up, this is what it looks like. And isn't that cool? You could sit this next to your couch, and you've got all your stuff. You could put your cross-stitch needles in it. It came with a pair of scissors. Isn't that just so neat? I get sucked in holes. I'm telling you, I saw this. So, yeah, I saw it. I had to have it. Liberty of London. It is their Victorian sewing box, or etui. Okay, I have a few more things that I've gotten here. Miss Mary Crawford, Sew Just Because, on Etsy. She made these beautiful bags. Aren't they so pretty? I bought these from Mary. She showed them on Instagram, and I went right to her shop. They just butterflies, flowers, quilt square. You couldn't get any prettier. And you know I'm a gardener, so I bought these bags from Merritt. And then Stephanie from Cross Stitching the Globe. Oh, mercy me. She had a D stash. And I just toad in a garden. I'm a sucker for a toad in a garden. So this is, you know, they're sitting under a tree having a picnic, the little Amish. And then Seasons of the Heart, cross patch. I love the houses. And then from Homespun Elegant, these are Seminol Samplers. And then this kit that was a paper kit, perforated paper. You know I love perforated paper. It's My Heart is Full, a Stitcher's Notebook. I had no business being on D-Stash with anything, but Stephanie, I couldn't say no. And then I brought this over here to show you. It sent me into a total dither. I had to get my Paula Vaughn's out, the complete history, blah, blah, blah of Paula Vaughn. You know, for years, I've wanted to stitch this. And I'm going to tell you why. This is Aunt Verdi's porch, okay? First of all, it's got a quilt and it's a cool porch. But my dad was adopted, and my real grandmother, come to find out after my dad died, I found my family. And guess what? My real grandmother's name was Verdia, and they called her Verdi. Aunt Verdi's porch. I want to do that. But then I had this great idea the other night when Stephanie sent me down the rabbit hole. From Fat Quarter Shop, I don't remember how I ended up with this piece of fabric, but look, it looks like a board, right? It looks like a board wall. I wouldn't even have to do the stitching for the boards. Tell me what you think. Do you think that I'm going to do it? But I counted, there's 42 or 43 DMCs for it, but this is the days before there was, you know, when you were tweeting and mixing and shading. So I won't use the list for threads to do this. I think I'll do overdyes and pull them, because I'm not putting 14 colors in a flower. I'm going to use one. But do you think I ought to do that? Tell me what you think. Do you think that would be cool? Stephanie, look what you did. I told you I was going to pull. Back in the day, these are the kind of books she got. And these are the big collections. I loved Paula Vaughn. Stephanie sent me off into La La Land that night. So bought those from Stephanie from Cross Stitch in the Globe. I don't remember if I told you or not, so I brought it out to show you anyway, but my sweet friend Sylvia was the exclusive for Homespun Needlework. If I showed this already, please excuse me, but I couldn't remember. But Mary Pugelston, this is it, Mary Pugelston, 1832, Colorado Cross Stitchers. She did the kits for the Homespun Needlework group, and this is the exclusive for it. And so my friend Sylvia did that. I don't think this is available anymore, but I wanted to show that to you as well. I have wanted for a long time to do the Lucy Beam for the Parlor piece from Kitten Stitcher from Shakespeare's Peddler, and it's a 2, 4, 6, 8 piece project, and it makes a long band. This is part 1. I ordered this directly from Shakespeare's Peddler. This is part 2. This is part 3. This is part 4. This will make a big band. And again, it's called Jenny Beam for the Parlor. This is part 5. Here's a little sneaky peeky of what it looked like up to part 5. And then this is part 6. Part 7. And I absolutely love this tree on the bottom. Look at that. That's part 8. So I went to Shakespeare's Peddler and I got all 8 parts. I have no business. Wait till you see what I got from Queenstown Sampler. You'll fall over. As well, I got the kit from the attic. Carolyn found a sampler in Jean Lee's desk. And this is it. And they are calling it, this is Ann Wildman's work, 1839, from the collection of Jean Lee, Samplers in My Attic. And I got the complete kit. I got 40 count, and it's on Lakeside, vintage exemplar with all the silks. That was in Jean Lee's desk. So I was excited. You can get this exclusively and only at the attic. And so I got that. And then Miss Becca from Sambry Stitches has the cutest series. And there is a fourth one, but you can't get it right now. And the fourth one, I can't wait to get. So I went and got all the other ones. And it's Hope, Love, Shalom, and then the next one that's coming out. And they are these sweet pin pillows, and it's her Faith series. And I absolutely love them. So this is from Sambry Stitches. You can find her on Etsy. That one was Hope. This is Shalom. But I love the blue. And then this is Love. Look at those roses. And I just love it. I love to support other designers. And I love what Becca has done with this series. And then there's a fourth one coming. I saw it in Needlework Retailer Magazine because I am in Needlework Retailer Magazine with my designs. And I was flipping through it and I was like, oh, Becca, I love that. So anyway, I got that. And then here's my Queenstown Samplers. Too many of them. Okay. I showed you Elizabeth Jordan, my Baltimore sampler. Well, her sister Ann made a sampler very similar to hers. I got this. And you can get Barbara's designs. Go to queentownsamplers.com. And this is Letitia Jane Andrews, 1836. Look at that. Listen, when you see models, you can't help yourself. It's over. And she did such a beautiful job. This is Elizabeth West's sampler. Look at that Quaker. Oh. See, Quakers don't need to be the geometric. This is a Quaker sampler, but it's not the geometric one that you would often think of them. And then this is Ann Curtis, 1867. This is the sweetest, cutest little sampler. I mean, I wanted to buy the whole table. And then this is one of the Ohio samplers that she was, because she was speaking to us about Ohio samplers. She's originally from Ohio. This is Emma B. Squire, 1828. And I know that my friend Sylvia loves this because it's an Adam and Eve. And then, oh, this is from Preble County, Ohio. This is Bathsheba Brown. This cover does no cover does any justice. Trust me, if the cover's pretty, it's stunning in person. This cover couldn't touch what this sampler looked like in person. And it's just gorgeous. And then this is Mary P. Yerkes, 1825. This was, I mean, just gorgeous. They were all just beautiful. And then I got Mary Hackney, 1819. And I'm going to tell you something. And only people who have watched this video or have been live with me on my group on Facebook, this gorgeous Mary Hackney. What I was going to say is, do you know that in my private collection of my samplers, my antique samplers, I have tons of Marys and Mary Anns. I collect them faithfully. You want to know why? My mother's name is Mary Ann. So if you say one day, Shellie, boy, you've got a lot of Marys, it's because my mom's Mary Ann. But anyway, so I had to get this one. Besides, it was gorgeous in person. Now, let me tell you about our day at the Guild with Barbara Hutson. She is just amazing. She is a walking thesaurus encyclopedia of knowledge and wisdom. She can look at a sampler and know what teacher taught it. because she is so extensively studied. I want to just say again, I can't say enough about joining guilds. These are things that you're not going to get any place except for being part of an educational program, which is a guild. And I have to tell you, Barbara Hutson, if she's one of those, her and Vicki Jeanette, and I would love to sit with them, and Claudia Dutcher, Susan Greenoff. If I could sit with those women, oh, I'm just telling you, they are just amazing women filled with knowledge about samplers, and she just knocked our socks off. She did a session in the morning and a session in the afternoon. And if you're part of the Queen City Sampler Guild, the morning session is, you can get the link to that because it was a general meeting. This wasn't even a sign up and pay for it. This was a part of just being part of the guild. She was brought in by our programs, and she talked extensively about Ohio samplers to us. It was amazing. And she talked about, in the afternoon, she was going over some samplers, and she was talking about these teachers, and she followed them through students. And it was just amazing what you learn, and hearing about the lives of them and the historical knowledge that she's gathered about their lives. It was just a wonderful event. If you have never heard Barbara Hutson in person, you have missed out. Look for her. Look for a place to hear her speak. Look for a place to see her models in person. They are amazing. And she is a gift to us as stitchers, and she's a gift to us as a historian. She's a gift to us as a preserver of all of these beautiful representations of people's lives in their samplers. And when I grow up, I want to be like Barbara Hutson. So it was a wonderful day. We got to stitch, we got to shop, we had lunch, we had 2 sessions where we learned from her, and I can't say enough about it. And as I said, it hunt high and low to see Barbara Hutson in person, and do check out her website. I will have it linked below, and look at her just tremendous catalog. I mean, this is nothing, this stack right here. And then of course Elizabeth, that I showed you my stitching, she's an incredible designer and historian, and you want to hear from that. And I'm going to say, join a guild. Join a guild. Listen, I mean, you don't even have to pay for what we got is head and shoulders over what you might get at a lot of retreats. So I'm telling you, and it was just a day with Barbara Hutson. It didn't cost us anything. And so I would encourage you to join a guild. Queen City Sampler Guild is my local sampler guild, and I know that Barbara is doing something, or did something, for Tudor Rose. There's Willow Tree Sampler Guild. There's the Sampler Guild of the Rockies. There is the Western Reserve. There's the Delaware Valley Guild. Get on and search those out. Get you some knowledge. It's amazing what you'll learn, and it's just going for a day of stitching. It was so fun. So, pardon me, I'm sorry. I'm dry again. So I've got us well over 2 hours. Feature-length film, Shellie. But I haven't seen you in a couple weeks because I did the one video in between. So I think I've showed you all my whips far and wide. I've showed you my acquisitions. I've talked to you about a day with Barbara Hutson. And I've had a wonderful time. I miss you every time in between. I love the interactions in the comments. Do comment below. Tell me what you think on the topics that I've asked you about. And yeah, so it's been a great day. I've enjoyed being with you. If you haven't already, if you already have, you don't have to do this, but if you haven't, like and subscribe so you can keep up with what I'm sharing here. And I hope that you enjoyed your day with me today. I should be back sooner than later. Like I said, I plan on doing a come learn with me. It won't be a very long video, but I'd like to talk to you about some tips and tricks for over one stitching for those that are a little intimidated by it. And I'd like to do some tutorials on some quilts, but in the meantime, I'll be back before I get all of that done. But I think the next thing that's going to be out is a little tutorial for you on a come learn with me, just some handy tips and tricks for stitching over one. But I've enjoyed our time together here today, my friends, and I think that'll do it. So until we meet again, I wish you many happy stitches. Bye-bye now, my friends. I forgot one thing real quick before I sign all the way off. October 23rd, I will be going to Greenville, Tennessee to deliver my trunk show to Thread the Needle Stitchery, Stacy Clark's shop, and they are having a meet and greet for me. And so if you're in the area, anywhere near there, I would love to meet you in person. I should be arriving at probably about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I know it's their long stitch day. I think they're open till 7. So if you are in the Greenville, Tennessee, Knoxville type area, stop by Thread the Needle Stitchery, and I'd love to meet you in person. That's October 23rd. It's a Thursday. So, okay, now I'm really done. Bye-bye now, my friends.